Match number 7, our main event of the evening, was the star attraction match, the one everyone had been waiting for. It was the 2 out of 3 falls match for the Ambition title between the challenger, the former champion, Adrian Arturo. Yes, sir! Um, He'd be challenging the current champion, another Essex Rescue favourite, in Samuel St. Daniels. Oh, these two, I could watch them go at it forever. Now, at the beginning, before the match even started, Samuel St. Daniels would use the belt to hit Arturo before the bell, and but Arturo refused to give up. He was like, "No, I am going to have this match," and so you'd see St. Daniels hit some big kicks, a big suplex, a 5-star frog splash for the first fall against the dazed Arturo. It was as simple as that for the first fall. The second fall, you'd see St. Daniels carry on going to work, stomping a mud hole literally into Arturo and wearing him down mockingly. He'd even slap him, but this would only fire Arturo up. Hit a lariat, both men would be down. Arturo would hit the jumping heel kick and onto the second turnbuckle for a double underhook slam for a near fall. And at this point, Arturo was completely fired up. He pulled down the straps, and Samuel St. Daniels would roll to the outside. Arturo would follow him. He'd literally fire St. Daniels into the wall 3 times, encouraged by I don't know who. And at this point, St. Daniels would curse me out. St. Daniels would look to chop Arturo on the outside and chop the ring post inadvertently. Arturo would hit the huge slam onto the apron, followed up by a huge boot. St. Daniels, once back in the ring, would hit a fireman carry stunner for a near fall. But then Arturo would hit the gut wrench falling powerbomb for a near fall of his own. He'd look for a springboard, but St. Daniels would shove him to the outside, literally shove him. He'd hit a running drop kick to Arturo on the apron. He'd head up top. He'd fly to the outside, thing of beauty. He'd head up top again, hit a missile drop kick, followed up by an enziguri. But Arturo would come back into it, hitting a flying forearm. Then he hit the double underhook sit out powerbomb for a near fall. St. Daniels would then hit the missile drop kick, head up top again, hit a 5-star frog splash for a 2 count, much to his dismay. And then Arturo would respond with a fireman carry stunner from the second turnbuckle. That's right, an avalanche version of the move to pick up the second fall of the match. We move on to the third fall, and St. Daniels would start this one by grabbing hold of the referee, hitting a low blow, hitting a gut wrench powerbomb for a near fall. He'd continue to bend the rules, beat down, and he'd inadvertently down the referee. He'd grab hold of the belt. At this point, Arturo would respond with a low blow kick of his own. He'd then use the belt. He'd hit the springboard stunner, but only for a near fall. I thought it was over at this point, but St. Daniels would get his foot on the ropes. St. Daniels would then lock in the submission maneuver. Arturo would make the ropes, and then but St. Daniels was not to be deterred. He'd lock in the Boston Crab, then he would turn it into the walls of Jericho. One of the most painful submission maneuvers when locked in properly, and Arturo, much to the dismay of the fans, would tap out, enabling St. Daniels to retain his title. Wow, honestly, what an epic match to finish the night on. These two, honestly, fight forever was the chant going on. These two absolutely delivered an epic spectacle for a 2 out of 3 falls match, from start to finish. Absolutely brilliant. No one could have guessed how it was going to start. St. Daniels resorting to the dirty tactics. But honestly, what an epic encounter it was. Arturo did not give up after being hit by the belt at the start. He gave it his all. He laid it all on the line. He just such a gutsy performance throughout, and I wouldn't expect anything less from Arturo. One of the best out there, in my opinion, and he gave it everything he got. He came up short this time, but that doesn't mean that belt will not be coming back to him at some point. This man is one of the top talents within the Ambition roster for sure. And he just came up short this time, but it happens. Anyway, St. Daniels, he did what he had to do to retain his title. Dirty tactics to start with, and it paid dividends for the first fall. It got pushed all the way for the second fall, and then obviously making your opponent tap out. I do love me a Walls of Jericho, absolutely love it, and to make your opponent tap out is just is one of the best ways to win a match, in my opinion. Fantastic, fantastic. I could watch these two go at it over and over again and never get bored. Every match they have is unique, and it's just something a spectacle to behold. If you ever get a chance to check either of these two absolutely fantastic talents in action, I thoroughly recommend you do so for yourselves.